From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is The Hub with Wang Guan.
Hello and welcome to The Hub. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. The Beijing 2022 Paralympics is at the corner. From March 4th to March 13th, Paralympians from around the world will be competing for 78 gold medals in 6 sports in the Olympic ring in Yanqing and in Zhangjiakou. There will be wheelchair curling, pair ice hockey, alpine skiing, snowboard, biathlon, and cross-country skiing. As the world is still battling against COVID-19, how significant is the Beijing 2022 Paralympics for people with disabilities? For more on this, I'm very pleased to be joined by Mr. Andrew Parsons, President of the International Paralympic Committee. President Andrew Parsons, thank you for doing this. In an interview in May last year before the Tokyo Olympics, you said this: Paralympics are a platform to bring disability to the heart of the discussion on inclusion. How significant are Beijing 2022 Paralympics to the cause of people with disabilities, in your opinion?
It's fundamental. The Paralympic Games is the only global event that puts persons with disability at center stage. So Beijing, impacting the whole world with an incredible technical delivery of the Games, putting the Paralympians as the stars, it sends a very important, very strong message of inclusion.
And then we know that Paralympic Committee has initiated a number of projects over there. For example, the We, the 15%. That is a lesser-known project, but let's face it, 15% of the world's population have a disability. I was really amazed when I first learned this. How do you think We, the 15 initiative, initiated and launched by the Paralympic Committee, can help the cause of helping those in need, those who have a disability?
Yeah, I think the first thing is exactly to make the other 85% of the world understand that there are 15% of global population with disability. So we're talking about 1.2 billion people. So they cannot be ignored. We the 15 aims to fight discrimination, aims to make a more inclusive world. And not only through sport, that's why we have 20 international organizations outside of the world of sport with us. So we want to make improvements in not only accessibility in sport, but also when it comes to employment, in the active participation of persons with disability in society. It's a 10-year campaign.
And then, there are some people wary about what sports can do to really bring to focus people with disabilities, because if you think about it, only those extremely fit or who have worked extremely hard for this can go to the Paralympic Games. How do you think specifically can the Paralympics help people with disabilities?
Yeah, Paralympics is the driver. High performance sport is the driver. They change the perception of persons towards people with disability. So they change the mindset. One understands when they see, for example, now in Beijing, they will see a blind skier going 100 kilometers an hour downhill, and this changed perception. So the idea here is to change how people see and perceive and treat persons with disability. The sport is the hook, sport is the driver, but we don't want to change the world only for the 670 athletes competing in Beijing. We want them to inspire change to the other 1.2 billion.
And then what are your hopes and expectations for the 2022 Beijing Paralympic Games? What do you think these games can and should achieve?
I think, first of all, these games will be fantastic from a sport perspective. We have been seeing our athletes in, even though they are training in very challenging circumstances due to the pandemic, but the results in the last 2 seasons have been amazing. So we are going to see amazing sport. The technical delivery by China and the organizing committee will be fantastic. We've seen it at the Olympics. We couldn't be more excited about it. And also, our main concern here is to protect athletes and to protect the Chinese population from the pandemic. So we believe that the concept of the closed loop and all the countermeasures put in place by China, they really worked during the Olympics. So I think we'll have great games, safe games, games that will change the mindset of people around the world. We'll have more broadcasters than ever broadcasting Paralympic Winter Games. So I couldn't be more excited about the change that we will inspire, but also about the quality of the sport and the quality of the game.
That's where I was going to go next. What do you think of the closed loop system we've seen for the Beijing Winter Olympics? Because there are many critics out there, offering complaints about this system. What do you think?
Well, I think it's impossible to stage games during pandemic. That will not be different from previous editions of the games. And the closed loop, first of all, it works. Allows athletes to focus on what only performing, allow officials to focus only on delivering what they have to deliver to support the athletes. So this is what we want, athletes not to be thinking about if they are going to get COVID or not, and to focus on what they have to do. So it worked during the Olympics, it will work during the Paralympics. I respect critics, everyone is entitled to have an opinion, but my opinion is that we need to make them whatever we can to protect athletes and different populations and protect the Chinese population. Hosting the games, the legacy that we want to leave in China is of a different perspective of persons with disability, more persons with disability practicing sport, and not more people getting infected. And this is what has been achieved during the Olympics, and it's going to work again for the Paralympics.
And then what do you think of the accessible or barrier-free facilities offered by the Beijing Paralympic Organizing Committee?
Well, we have been following the preparations throughout the years. So we are very happy with the level of accessibility that our athletes will have when they get to the Beijing facilities. Of course, we had people on the ground during the Olympics to see these venues in operation, to see all these systems and really in operation, of course, with Olympians and with Paralympians. So minor adjustments here and there. We have full confidence that the athletes will have a barrier-free environment, that they will only focus in training, performing, preparing, and to inspiring the world. So we are very happy, and we know how important it is for China to invest in barrier-free facilities. Not only in the sport, we know that more than 300,000 facilities have been made accessible due to Beijing organizing these games. So that's amazing. That's a legacy that has been delivered even before the games take place.
And then what are your expectations as far as the Paralympic organization is concerned, as far as Paralympic sports are concerned?
Well, we are going to see great sports. We have sports that are in some way new to the program, and they are still developing, such as para snowboard, that is a spectacular sport, that it's getting more athletes, more participation from different nations. The sport will be fantastic, and the venues, they will be amazing. So I think it's a step further in the development of Paralympic sports in the world. We have been developing a lot over the last few years. Beijing 2008 was fundamental to that because it has set the way the Paralympic Summer Games were going to be delivered in the future. So we only had London, Rio, Tokyo 2020 in such a high level because Beijing has set the bar really, really high. It completely changed the way the Summer Games were delivered. And that's what we aim here with the Winter Paralympics. We believe that Beijing 2022 will do the same for winter as Beijing 2008 did for the summer. It will change forever the way the Winter Paralympics is delivered.
Yeah, President Parsons, we all know that Beijing has now officially become the dual Olympic city, and it is on track to become the first dual Paralympic city as well. Other than the symbolism around all this, right? What are some of the concrete contributions Beijing, China has made to the global Olympic and Paralympic movement?
Well, I think in Paralympic side, again, 2008 was a game changer. A massive game changer. The way the games were, if you compare the way the games were delivered in Athens to Beijing and from Beijing on, you see a dramatic change. And this has helped the movement to grow and to impact more persons with disability. And of course, at the time in Beijing 2008, China was opening up to the world. Now it's a different situation. China is a superpower. It influences the world in so many ways. So whatever happens in China has a profound impact on the rest of the world. So having the Paralympics in a country with more than 85 million persons with disability means a lot. So sends a very important message of inclusion. So in terms of sport and in terms of legacy, I think these games could have the biggest impact ever on the Paralympic movement.
And then for the first time ever, Chinese athletes will attend all 6 sports. China has seen a surge of Winter Paralympians since 2016 as the number grew from just 50 to around 1,000. What do you make of China's efforts to promote and facilitate winter sports for people with disabilities?
That's incredible to see because the numbers you gave are numbers on high-level sports. But when you go to numbers to the people who are practicing in the sport with disability, we went from 10,000 to 300,000 in China. And this is amazing because it's not only about the athletes, it's about what the athletes inspire. We will never have 300,000 Chinese athletes at the Paralympic Winter Games, but the more we have Chinese with disability practicing sport and practicing winter sport, the better for their integration, promotion of health, for them to be more active into society. And one thing that inspired me a lot was I was present at the curling venue in Pyeongchang when China won its first ever gold medal in a Paralympic Winter Games. And to see that emotion, to see the reaction of the Chinese team who was watching in the stand, knowing that China is a super successful country in the summer, but that's what that first gold medal in winter meant for the Chinese Paralympic Committee and the Chinese athletes and Chinese persons with disability was amazing to see. So we knew that they were preparing something really big for these games, taking advantage of hosting the games to have more persons with disability practicing sport. But we know, and I think the other nations know, that China will fight for very high positions on the medal table.
That was a very emotional moment that you just brought up. Mr. President, there are more than 85 million people with disabilities in China, as you rightly mentioned. In your opinion, what can China do to further improve inclusion? How can these Paralympic Games help address that issue?
I think it's keep this track of investing in, first of all, in changing perception. I remember a publication from the Chinese government saying how the games in 2008 helped to change the perception around persons with disability. There was a negative perception in the lead up to the games, but with the games, the perception of persons with disability became of a track athlete, of a judoka, of a wheelchair basketball player. So I think it helped in a country with 85 million people that the other more than 1 billion people, they understand differently. They see persons with disability in a different way. And that's how the games are helping to change and shape a new Chinese society, a Chinese society that is more inclusive than before. And I think China really knows how to take advantage of that. So what we believe will happen with these games is, let's say, the next chapter of it. Having in mind that we have people, youngsters and kids, teenagers, they could not understand what was going on in 2008. So there's a new generation that will be impacted of Chinese people who will be impacted by these games. So they will grow with a different mindset, and they will be the future, leaders of China, entrepreneurs, TV hosts, athletes, citizens. So they will grow and they will make a more inclusive Chinese society. And it's great to see that China is taking advantage of that, really maximizing the opportunity of hosting these games. It's a great example to the rest of the world.
China still has a long way to go. It has gone a long way, but it does have a long way to go. So in your New Year message posted on YouTube, you said this: change starts with sport. There could be millions of people who have a disability watching this program. What would you say to them? Why sport?
Because I think the sport has this unique power to change the perception of people with disabilities. It's not like I'm doing here, I'm speaking, I'm talking, trying to change someone's understanding or someone's view on persons with disability. It's because of the personal experience with what is going on in the field of play. Whether it's a 100 meters event, whether it's a swimming event, a bocce competition. In this case now, when you see again a blind skier coming 100 kilometers per hour downhill, having to trust his or her guide, I think it changes the perception of people of what a blind person could do. When you see someone, an amputee, downhill again with one leg, it changes what you perceive and what you understand that an amputee can do. And the same with wheelchair, curling, para snowboard, all the different sports. So it helps to change. That's why sport is so important here, because it convinces people by their own experience that they were having, let's say, wrong assumptions on persons with disability. And when they realize, if this guy can be an athlete and perform like that, this guy can be a good father, she can be a good mother, sister, brother, entrepreneur, staff, boss, citizen. And that's the power of sport. It's not only about the Paralympics, it's about sport. But in the Paralympics is the event that really drives inclusion in society, because it's the impact of sport. And that's why we say the change starts with sport, but it can't be only about sport. It has to get to other sectors of society. It has other activities, such as employment is a very important one. Transport, really accessibility, barrier-free, that's important. So it starts with sport, but we want inclusion, and we want the change to achieve different sectors of society and in different activities of society.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the saying that goes, if you can change your body, you can change everything. Mr. President, you yourself do not have a disability, but you have been very involved in the cause of Paralympics. You have been the chairperson of Brazil's Paralympic Committee and then America's Paralympic Committee, and now you're the International Paralympic Committee chairperson. What inspired you to get involved in this cause?
Well, first of all, I think it was a very good opportunity that really changed my life. When I joined the Brazilian Paralympic Committee, this was 25 years ago, it took me only a few weeks to decide I want to stay in this movement forever. This is what I would like to do for the rest of my life. And 20 years on, I'm still here, still with the same passion, still contributing at a different level. Of course, being the president of the IPC gives me the opportunity. I think it's a mission that I have in life. And that I was lucky enough that when I was only 20 years old to understand that even if I didn't have it, I still don't have a disability, I can contribute to a better world through sport, doing my part. And again, 1.2 billion people, I think they really deserve my ultimate effort to make for a more inclusive world in my role. So it's through sport.
Thank you very much for all that you've done. Finally, at the Pyeongchang 2018 Olympic Winter Games, the International Olympic Committee and the International Paralympic Committee signed a historic long-term agreement establishing a partnership between the two organizations until at least 2032. How will this enhance the Paralympic brand and benefit the Paralympic movement?
Well, this was a historical agreement between the IOC and the IPC. The International Olympic Committee is our biggest partner by far. We have been working together since then really closely, and it helps a lot when it comes to sponsorship, when it comes to activation, broadcasting, when it comes to even to delivery of the games. So we are more integrated than ever before, and this helps the organizing committees, helps the IOC, helps the IPC. So I think we have more resources to support our members, to support athletes. We have better games, and we have a bigger reach when it comes to broadcasting. So I think it's helping massively our movement in have a bigger impact on the world.
Mr. Andrew Parsons, President of the International Paralympic Committee, it is an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've been watching The Hub. More to come after the break. The Beijing Paralympics will start tomorrow. This follows what the IOC President Thomas Bach described as truly exceptional Beijing Winter Olympics. For the second part of this show, I'll be talking to Zhu Dingwen, the short track speed skater who competed for Hong Kong for his first Olympics. He was also the flag bearer of the Special Administrative Region. Dingwen, great to have you with us. Welcome to CGTN.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I suppose, if I'm not mistaken, you're in quarantine. And
yes, I am.
How's quarantine life treating you?
Quarantine life, I think it's, I have a certain opinion that other people might not agree. I absolutely love quarantine.
You do?
Wow. Having food served to you, 3 meals a day, getting a good night's rest, you know, it's wonderful, especially for an athlete with a busy schedule like me.
So Sydney True, you were one of the 3 winter athletes representing the Hong Kong SAR. You were the flag bearer over there. How would you describe your Olympic experience overall?
Well, I think the entire Olympic experience really exceeded my expectations. You know, other than some small little operational haphazards that may have happened, everything was run incredibly smoothly. The volunteers were absolutely exceptionally friendly, and they were a very critical part to sort of the entire operation. And that really made my Olympic experience wonderful. You know, everything was very seamless. I got to not only look at the top athletes from my own sport, but also go to Zhang Jiakou and Yan Qing to look at sort of like other sports that I've never even seen before. And I think it was really great. It's a very unique situation where you have athletes from all walks of life gathered in one place celebrating the Olympics. So, you know, all in all, I think the Olympics experience was something that I'll never forget. It was an absolutely wonderful experience. The volunteers, all the staff, all the different athletes, having everybody come from so many different walks of life in one village, it was an amazing experience.
Sydney, let's talk about the athletic part of it. As far as we know, there has not been even one standard short track speed skating rinks in tropical Hong Kong. Is that still the case now?
Yeah, so actually, you know, winter sports is very, very uncommon in Hong Kong. And so even though the Hong Kong China delegation has produced Winter Olympians ever since the 2002 Salt Lake City Winter Olympics, we don't have a Olympic-sized standard ice rink in Hong Kong. So most of us Hong Kong skaters, we have to often travel to the Chinese mainland to do our training or go to overseas countries to do our training. And so that sort of regimen, I think that sort of like resilience and perseverance from us Hong Kong, China athletes might not be, like might not be common knowledge for other athletes or other fans watching. So it's great to be able to even stand on the Olympic stage for us Hong Kong China athletes. It's a miracle. So because of our sort of like the results that we've gotten in both Asian and international competitions, the Hong Kong government is planning on setting up a internationally standard ice rink in the city. So we're really hoping to get not just the Hong Kong community, but also the Greater Bay Area community more involved in winter sports. And hopefully we can get speed skating to be a more popular sport in the region.
That would be sweet. But let's talk about yourself. You have to fly up to northwestern China on the mainland, of course, to train. What was the experience like?
Flying to northeastern China very often, it really took a toll because as a young student, I had to sort of balance my own academic studies. I had to balance full-time training, and I would go up there every weekend. And so doing that, first of all, financially, it was very difficult. Second of all, I really enjoyed, northeastern China. It's a very unique opportunity for especially Hong Kong youth to travel up there and to engage with the local community, engage with local athletes. And I picked up a lot of new language skills. I also picked up a lot of...
you did. We saw the Douyin videos.
Yeah.
My wife is a Dongbeiren, but you speak better Dongbei dialect than I do. No, Sydney, seriously, I was serious. Speaking about picking up the dialect part. Show us what you've got.
Okay, so in the northeastern dialect in Dongbeihua, there's a phrase for falling down on the side of the sidewalk and clipping your knee, where your skin falls off. And so in the northeastern dialect, we would say this as 脖了盖儿卡马路牙子卡秃噜皮子. So which is very, very different from standard Putonghua. And so, learning all these like nice little like words and nice little sayings got me to be a really unexpected overnight sensation. And so I think, it's something that I felt really surprised about too.
How are you getting along with your fellow athletes from the Chinese mainland? Have you made any friends?
Yeah, so I mean, we've always trained with each other for the past many sort of years. Every time we're skating in the World Cup, every time we do competitions together, especially in the Olympics, we do a lot of our pre-competition training together. So I've had a lot of interactions with Wu Dazheng, with the Chinese national team coaches, with Sun Long, Zhang Tianyi, and everybody else on the team. So, it's really great. I feel really grateful because to have the national team support us in so many of our training operations, we were able to sort of, really get to the Olympics, and for everybody on our team as well. And so, interacting with them in person, it's great because a lot of them, like especially Dazheng, they're people that I looked up to, and watching sort of like our relationships grow over the years, it's beautiful, and watching everybody compete in our own home country.
And then how about cooperation between the Chinese mainland and the special administrative region, something you've touched upon briefly. Do you know any specific training schemes or exchange programs in place to, facilitate, Hong Kong athletes or maybe mainland athletes as well to get to the next level?
I can really only speak for winter sports,
Sure.
but I think that there's a lot to learn from both sides. The mainland athletes obviously have, the immense structure in their training regimes. They have, immense power, immense experience that a lot of us Hong Kong athletes don't. And so it would be great to sort of have our athletes, including me, learn more from the mainland athletes. And in terms of what we can give back is, like a lot of the Hong Kong Chinese athletes are also full-time university students, full-time like secondary school students that also do full-time training. And so, something that I've been doing over the past few years with the mainland Chinese team is I've been teaching them English. And so back in 2016, when I was starting to train with the youth national team, I did a few English classes every week. I'd give them tests, and it was really fun. And in turn, I learned a lot about, training at the highest level. And so hopefully with our new rink, hopefully the government pushes forward with the new rink in Hong Kong. Hopefully we can have more of our athletes interact more with each other and learn more from each other.
And then what would you tell your fellow compatriots, in Hong Kong or any other residents of a tropical city or tropical region for that matter? What is the beauty of winter sports?
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Jamaican bobsled team, but I always use this example. A lot of people ask me sort of like, why is there a need to do ice skating in such a tropical city where we don't even have the conditions for it? When I see the Jamaican bobsled team, when other people see the Jamaican bobsled team, a country with no snow whatsoever, just beaches, you see the resilience of their people. You see their perseverance, their character, and the sort of character of their people, the character of athleticism shines through a tropical city or a tropical country training for the Winter Olympics. And that's sort of what I want to portray with Hong Kong as well. As the Hong Kong China delegation sets to the Winter Olympics, I want to show the world, show to our mainland Chinese audience that we in Hong Kong have this fighting spirit, that even though we don't have the conditions to compete in the Winter Olympics, we're still here doing it, and we still have we got the entry ticket to the Winter Olympics. So for us, it's a miracle.
That's beautiful, and even more beautifully said. And then finally, how do you see these Beijing Winter Olympics popularize winter sports for people not just on the Chinese mainland but in Hong Kong and SAR?
Thomas Bach said that we're pushing forward a new era in winter sports, and hopefully we can get more people in Hong Kong interested in winter sports, and hopefully we're able to capitalize on this interest and provide more of these learning opportunities for the Hong Kong fans watching at home.
Sidney Chu, Zhu Dingwen, thank you so much for doing this, and our best wishes for all your future endeavors.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And that's all we have for this edition of The Hub. Tell us what you think about our program by sending us a message on Weibo, Douyin, Twitter, Facebook, or any other social media platform. Thank you for joining us. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. Our news coverage continues. Bye for now and take care.